talking about cats. Okay, get your minds out of the gutter, people. I don't know what kind of milking you're thinking we're talking about, because we are talking about kittens.
You
I
know
promise.
that reminds me of. Did you ever see that movie, Meet the Fockers?
Oh, of
Oh,
course, yeah.
wait. Was it Meet the Parents? Where Ben Stiller says, "Well, yeah, you can milk anything with nipples,
Yep.
and Robert De Niro says, "I have nipples, Greg. Can you milk me?"
That was Meet the Parents, because Meet the Fockers came next. Yes, yes, and it is an iconic movie, an iconic scene. Yes, friends, sorry, for anybody joining, literally, as we were starting, we were talking about Brooklyn's kittens,
Five.
because 5 kittens,
Yeah.
one of the kittens was having a little bit of trouble, as we opened with doing the things it needed to do to get the milk.
The
So
milk to flow.
let's
I
oh,
have
the milk
nipples,
to
Greg.
flow.
I have nipples. Can you milk me?
So wait, so let's update people who may not know about your kittens. What you had 5 kittens. One of them wasn't eating.
Yes, that was Goose. Um, and yeah, the other 4 were going about their business, and they still can't even open their eyes.
Oh,
Right? Yeah, apparently, like, they don't open their eyes for like 2 weeks or something.
oh my God.
So all their eyes are closed, and and
Oh,
so the other 4 were getting busy and getting big, and little Goose was not getting any. So we took him to a rescue place, and they gave us like this special bottle, and then he didn't want it, and then he was like, "Oh, actually, now I know how." And so,
oh.
yeah,
So the bottle actually taught him how to do the things he needed to do to get the milk to flow. Isn't that
yeah,
interesting? So like in the
yeah,
wild, right? Like he would have been gone, but he had a good surrogate parent, or 2 surrogate parents, and you guys to save him.
yeah.
I love that.
It's funny. I learned that in some cases, like if this cat was out in the wild and nobody was, looking after her, if one of her kittens was sick and she had like 4 others, she would like throw dirt on it to kind of bury it, to keep it away from her other healthy ones. That's a thing
Wow.
they do. That's cold-blooded, but
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. Oh, I mean, I had a dog. God, guys, I promise we'll talk about all this stuff. And by the way, I'm in the Big Apple for one night, and I'm having a little wine at 4:30 in the afternoon. That's just how I roll today. But it's a pre-Christmas to me, because Donald Trump saved Christmas, thank God. But I had a Keys hound. My dad's second wife. Boy, that's a sort of a country song. She breeded Keys hounds, which are lovely breeds, by the way. But Sassy, and the worst named dog ever in the history of time, Sassy. Sassy had a litter, and some of the babies were born stillborn, and Sassy ate them.
Oh
She ate
no.
them, which is a crazy thing, like a crazy and a dark, very like not cool. Like it's a very traumatizing as a young child to see that. But yeah, she ate the puppies, I guess, to get the amniotic. What guys, I don't know, in the chat. You probably
Oh,
think we've both lost our minds, but yeah, we will talk
yeah,
about
no,
this.
so this cat here, Birdie, ate her placentas.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they feed their kittens so much, so
Yeah.
they're run out of vitamins and whatever. Let's move on from
Let's
kitten
move
talk.
on. Yeah. Tiffany, we're moving on. We're moving on.
Who's eating placentas?
Sorry, some sometimes human contact face to face, the strangest things happen. But yes,
They're
Tiffany,
eating the cats
that's
and the
the
dogs.
dogs. Yeah. Actually, you know what? That's a good place. Yes. That's a good place to start, because something Donald Trump said yesterday. Was it yesterday? Yes.
About the Somalians?
Yes. Yes. And I wrote a Substack about it, where I poked fun at the fact that he fell asleep during several of his meetings, but his cabinet meeting in particular. But his comments about the Somalis and the American citizens, that they called them garbage. He said they're ruining America. Like, I do want to talk about that because it's in the same vein as they're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs, about Haitians. My neighbors are Haitian. They're incredibly wonderful people. I crashed into their car looking at my Halloween decorations, and they did not want a dime. Good people, truly. But we all, I think sometimes, Brooklyn, what do you think? I think sometimes it's in our bones so much that he's so awful that, like, we're like, yeah, like, it's awful, but, like, the shit he said was disgusting,
Yeah.
dehumanizing and disgusting. And I want to talk about that because I feel like it's not getting enough attention, and I know we talk about Trump all the time, but, like, this is dangerous, dangerous rhetoric.
So I, of course, took the bait uh, initially, and I'll explain what I mean. I was outraged, you know, and rightfully so, because he was saying, like, one of his things he was saying, she complains so much she's here and she doesn't have a right to complain, so she should go back to where she came from,
Yeah.
as if a requirement of being American is thou shalt not complain about your country, when that is essentially in the DNA of being American. Going back to the Revolutionary War, those people who came here, it's not like, they were happy with the way things were going. They made the First Amendment, the freedom of speech, so that they could criticize their government and their leaders, and whether they can talk about whatever without fear of reprisal. So to tell someone to go back to where you came from because they're complaining while he's in the middle of a rant of complaining about shit, it's one of the most un-American things you could do. And I said I took the bait because that's what he does when he's in trouble. When he's in trouble, when his ratings are in the toilet, when he can't fix things, when he's got a shitload of scandals on his hands, what does he do? He throws out not even the dog whistle, the bullhorn, to remind his followers, hey, I'm still a racist motherfucker. I'm still your guy. So don't pay attention to the fact that I can't lower prices and I can't release those Epstein files because my rich friends and I will be screwed. All of that stuff gets, we're all chasing the shiny racist object.
1,000% yes to all of that, right? You're 1,000% correct. He's like a bloomin' onion of pathology, right? Like, he's like a 9-layered he's the Palisades of pathology, right? Like, there's so many things at play here. It is the distraction, it is the shiny object over here, but it's also projection, because I think at the core of almost everything he does, he is always talking about himself. He is always talking about himself. When he says they didn't do anything, they don't deserve anything, they didn't work hard enough, he's talking about himself because he inherited everything he has. Otherwise, we wouldn't know his name. We'd be lucky if he changed the urinal cakes at the truck stop on fucking I-95.
Right.
He earned none of this on his own or of his own merit. He's lazy. He's a nepo baby, and all he ever does 24/7, and as you pointed out correctly, he was in the midst of doing it as he was projecting the complaining about this country onto someone who came here seeking a better life, someone who
Yeah.
not only came here seeking a better life, but returned the favor to this country by serving it. He
Yeah.
put the label, he projected the label of complaining onto a public servant who has gotten everything she has by her own accord, by her own drive, by her own convictions, by her own passion. She's always talking about himself. When he calls someone low IQ, he's talking about himself. When he calls someone lazy, he's talking about himself. When he calls someone corrupt, he's talking about himself. When he calls someone a criminal, he is talking about himself 24/7. And you're right, though. We can't lose sight of the fact that he also doesn't want us talking about the fact that he is saying this shit that he ran on when it comes to the price of groceries is a con. It's a deep state hoax. Bullshit. I mean, I'm pretty sure my grocery store thinks affordability is a hoax because the way that they've raised their prices, they're looking at me like, it's a hoax, Joe. I'm sure my pizza place charging me 20 bucks a pie is like affordability is a hoax. He knows all that. His approval rating is the lowest since Richard Nixon, friends, and Richard Nixon left office in that term, not of his own accord. All of this is happening while he's got about 12 days left, I think, to get the Epstein files released. All of this is happening. He's blowing up ships in the middle of the ocean. His secretary of whatever the fuck war crimes is a day drunk scumbag who the Hague is going to have some things to say about. All of that, you're right. This is a distraction because the low hanging fruit for the cult, the chum that he needs to throw into the water to make them frenzied and rabid is hate. It's always hate. Projection, hate, distraction, Donald Trump.
I want to say something that's going to sound a little crazy first, right?
Okay.
You gotta stay with me.
Okay.
Um, and that is, I wonder if when he says affordability is a hoax, that
Mm-hmm.
he's kind of telling the truth. And stay with me.
Okay.
Stay with me there, because he's a
Okay.
liar, but sometimes he accidentally blurts out the truth.
Yeah.
Let's let's go back to 2019, right? Let's say a bucket of what's a who's it's was like $100, right?
What's a
Then,
business? Yeah.
yeah, bucket of what's a who's it's, right?
Okay.
And then in 2020, when the pandemic came, right?
Mm.
Then and the supply chain broke because now we don't have enough drivers, and there's all this a big log jam at the ships with the shipping crates and all that. So
Mhm.
now supplies are at a premium, right? Remember when toilet paper ran out?
Yeah, of
Remember
course.
that? Yeah.
Yeah.
So that whole supply chain crisis drove prices up. And then the people who make those things, they were like, look at this here. We can raise prices and
Yeah.
blame it on the supply chain. And that is what they did. So it went from $100 to $200, right?
Mhm.
Then Joe Biden is in office, right? The supply chain crisis is over, but those prices, they didn't come down. They
Mm.
came up with a new excuse. They're like, oh, we have operating expenses, $250, right?
Mhm.
Then now here's Trump in office, and he realizes, holy shit, I told them that I was going to lower prices, but these guys aren't going to let me lower prices. So might as well say it's a hoax. And so that $250 is now creeping up from his tariffs to $300,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, so will prices eventually come down? Maybe, but they're not going to go back to where they were in 2019. And
No.
therein is the illusion, right? We had $100 bucket for what's it, who's it's,
Mm.
5, 6 years ago. Now it's three times as expensive. If it comes down to $280, people will be like, woohoo, price is down. It's like that same scam that they run on you with the sales in the stores. Like Macy's got a special 1 day sale, right? But what they don't tell you is that a month ago they jacked the price up like $100, and then when your stupid ass walks into the store and they bring it down from 100 to $50 cheaper, you think you're getting a bargain, but you're still paying $50 more than you should have been paying. So
Mhm.
it is all a big scam at the at the end of the
Oh,
day, but
yeah.
not in the way that he means it. He's trying to say, "Oh, it's a democratic hoax." No, dude, you made a promise that you couldn't keep, and now you're trying to put the blame on somebody else. We need to hold his ass to the fire, or however it is that we hold people accountable for saying shit and then backing away from it.
100%. And that again, the nine-layer dip of awful that is Trump. He's saying a couple things at one time, right? Like he is saying, I think you're probably right, that he knows that these CEOs who are making money hand over fist, the CEOs that he's, given the biggest tax cuts in history, the ones who get tax cuts when the rest of us don't. He knows that they're that what they're doing is corrupt. He knows that they can and will not lower prices. Prices never come down. Once they're up, they're like, oh, they're going to pay it. These suckers, they're going
Yeah.
to keep paying it. So he's saying that, but he's also trying to say to the American people, you are not feeling what you're feeling. Do not believe your own lying eyes and ears and checkbooks and wallets
Yeah.
and dwindling bank accounts. Do not believe your own reality, right? Like, this is the thing he's trying to say, and not articulately, because he's not articulate, and you can't say affordability is a hoax. It's not even a coherent phrase, let alone a sentence, let alone a complete thought, whatever. But this is Trump. But the problem is it's not working, because you can convince someone that things are worse than they are. You can message like we saw happen during Joe Biden's term, when we had the arguably the envy of the world in terms of COVID recovery economically. You can tell people things are worse than what they're experiencing, because they're like, oh yeah, I really would like to have more, and I don't have more. But what you can't do is the converse of that. You can't tell people who are struggling, who are scared, who are worried, who've been fired, who are looking at the healthcare costs and wages being stagnant and groceries going up. You can't tell them they're not feeling that. So
Yeah.
he's trying a couple of things there, and there you can tell by the polling and by the fear in the Republicans that it's backfiring, because things are bad. People are scared. And what we just saw in New Jersey and Virginia and elsewhere and Tennessee, where no, she didn't win, but Afton Bain made gains in every single district since
Mm.
2024. You can't shrug at that. And you have to say at the end of the day, like, he can tell you that he can piss down your back and tell you it's raining, but people aren't buying it. They're just not buying it. And I think that that's what the Democrats need to cut as an ad and carry that through to the midterms and beyond. He is telling you that things are better than they are, while you are struggling to pay for groceries. Period.
I have some thoughts to about Afton Bain,
Hmm.
because I was excited and then a little bit disappointed, but then uh, I kept putting things in perspective. But before I say that, I want to say about grocery shopping. This guy who's telling us that affordability is a hoax, is a guy who hasn't shopped for groceries possibly ever
I
in
think
his
ever.
life. I
Yeah.
mean, if you want to talk about a guy who, that people like Trump because he's like a regular guy. No, he's not. He
Mm-mm.
sits in a golden toilet. He has Gatsby parties where there are women sitting in martini glasses while you are struggling to decide whether or not I'm going to pay my medical bill, or I'm going to pay for the utilities, or
Right.
buy some extra potatoes for this month.
Mhm.
So anyway, about the Afton Bain thing, I saw some people on our side, I won't say who it was, but some folks on our side were kind of all up in their feelings, saying, this don't believe what they're saying. This loss is not a win, and it's not like we were trying to say it's a win, like, because we know what winning is. We've won
Yeah.
before and we've lost
Yeah.
before, so this was not a win in that regard. It was kind of a victory, because a win is also a victory. Anyway, but because this was a district that Donald Trump won by 22 points.
Yeah.
Afton Bain is a woman who said in that district that she didn't like country music, she didn't like Nashville,
Right.
still, and cut his margin of victory in half. So, what does
Mhm.
that do to our other races throughout the country, where maybe we get a stronger candidate who doesn't say that they dislike the things everybody in their district likes, and it's only like a 10 or 9 +9 victory margin. Now we're talking. Now these are districts that previously we would have stayed away from. They're suddenly competitive because Donald Trump is dragging the
Yeah.
entire Republican Party down, and too many of them are terrified of him to break away. So that's kind of opening the door of opportunity. Yeah, we lost in Tennessee, but We weren't even supposed to be in the running. We weren't even supposed to be close. They had people spending millions of dollars, Republicans donating millions in that race.
Mhm.
Why? He should have won that like without doing any appearances anyway. He should have won that walking away easily. So
Agreed.
we have something to look forward to in 2026.
Agreed, and, like, a victory, win, whatever, language you wanna use here, somebody, Cat, I think, put in the chat, it's progress no matter how you slice it, right? And progress in the right direction is a win. It is.
Yeah.
Is it the win we wanted? Is it, having Afton Bain in Congress versus the guy that Mike Johnson swore in less than 24 hours after he won, unlike, Grijalva, which was 50 days? But it is still movement in the right direction. And I think when we start getting precious over, well, that wasn't the win that we wanted, and so it's not actually a win, then we're losing the forest through the trees or whatever that expression is, right? Because this
See the
is
forest for the trees. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, something like that. Because this is movement in the right direction, and this is actually massive progress. That is massive progress. And what it also signals, like you just said, is that Donald Trump is a lead weight. He's a cinder block chained to the ankles of the Republican Party right now, which, yes, incumbent presidents often are in their midterms, but this is much worse. And that's the thing too that I think slowly, but ever so slowly, the Republican Party is starting to look around and going, well, he's historically unpopular. So that gravitas that he might have had, that got Bill Cassidy, by the way, thank you very much for RFK Jr., Senator Cassidy, Dr. Cassidy. Great job on that one. Way to go. They were afraid. They were afraid of Donald Trump because he came in stronger, far stronger than he is now. Because what he's done now is he's failed on every single level and every promise. And he's like solving fake wars and all this shit. And everybody's like, what are you doing? Like, none of this is the stuff that we talked about. Like, what are you actually
Yeah.
doing? And I think this we are seeing and hearing little tiny defections. For instance, Pete Hegseth, and this whole war crimes thing, the Signalgate story that reemerged recently because the
Yeah.
IG came out with that report about how he imperiled our troops, and he
Mhm.
did make tons of really grave mistakes. That inspector general was commissioned by the Republicans on the Armed Services Committee. And I think that is a very powerful indicator of the idea that even though they are still feckless, cuckolding, craven, pusillanimous cowards, even then, they're still starting to dip their toes in like spine adjacent waters. They're going to sacrifice Mike Johnson first, right? Like, like, let's be real here. It's not profiles in courage. Um, Right? They're like, "Oh, that water looks nice. Is it full of courage? Let me just hold on. Hold, hold. Oh, it's so spicy. It's so spicy to be courageous." But still, what they're doing now is they've decided instead of firing at Trump, which is not great for them because he's not fun to have come back at you, they're going for
Right.
Mike Johnson. Mike Johnson is the sacrificial
Oh,
lamb.
yeah.
Pete Hegseth is the sacrificial lamb right now. They're trying to lay blame wherever they can so they don't piss off dear leader because they don't want his ire. But they also know that he's a lame duck with historically low approval numbers, who is not accomplishing jack shit. And what we just saw in New Jersey and Virginia and Mississippi and Alabama and elsewhere is that this shit's not selling, and they all know the writing that's on the wall. So it is very interesting to watch the very same people who were afraid to rock that boat, sort of getting a little braver now because he's like John Cleese in Monty in help me guys, help me in the chat where he's like, "Oh, it's just
One.
a flesh wound." What?
Oh, no, no, that's
Um
Holy Grail.
um Thank you. Like
Yeah.
he's kind of John Cleese at this point. He's like, yeah, he's still trying to fight, but he doesn't have any limbs. You know what I mean? You take my
Yeah, that's a good one. That's good. Um, yeah, it definitely feels like there's blood in the water and the sharks are circling. Like they can smell, you can kind of smell weakness on him. He's starting to look and feel like a lame duck. And when I say look, have you
Yeah.
noticed the past 2 days in a row he's falling asleep in public in like, in high profile meetings? That's it's so funny to me. Like
Yeah.
and MAGA gets so, twisted and angry that we make a big deal out of it because he called Joe Biden, he continues to call Joe Biden Sleepy Joe.
Sleepy.
Like, dude, you know what? First of all, leave Joe Biden's name out of your mouth, right?
Yeah.
Joe is living his best life, right? Joe is out there greeting the people and staying awake in the afternoon and doing things Trump is incapable of doing. But
No.
you, motherfucker, you're the one who made an issue out of calling Joe sleepy and low energy. And now it's you. It's like
Oh,
hoisted by his own petard. um, how could you not see that coming, dude? You're only 2 years younger than him, and in worse physical shape. I've never seen Trump break into a jog. I've never seen him run or ride a bicycle. None of that stuff, right? So he should have chilled out on that. But when I was talking about with the blood in the water, is this Pete Hegseth thing, right? Um,
mhm.
Republicans are now kind of like, yeah, I want to see, I want to see what the hell happened, and they're not liking what they see, and nor should they. I like my secretaries of defense, and I'm not calling it secretary of war. That's such bullshit. I like my secretary of defense to be nonpartisan. I like him to be sober. And when I say
Mm.
sober, I don't mean like not drinking alcohol. I mean just like rational, rational and serious, because this is the dude who is sending our kids to fight wars on our behalf. So I want this guy not all concerned about how's my makeup look and all this bullshit. I want him to be focused on keeping our people safe and making sure that we are not turning into the bad guy by committing murders in international wars. Why can't we see the proof of who these people are supposed to be? If you care so much about stopping narco terrorists, that new term that they came up with. If you care so much about stopping them, then why have you pardoned a guy who trafficked 400 tons of cocaine? Why?
Yeah.
It's all
No.
bullshit. So,
Yeah.
um,
It,
yeah,
100,000% it's bullshit. And to your point, it's almost as if some of the narco terrorist stuff is almost as if Congress, the Republicans in Congress, have been in some kind of trance or deep sleep or coma, and all of a sudden someone shook them awake, and they were like, "Oh my God, we gave the keys to the family car to the town drunk. Like, what did we do?" Like they abdicated all of their responsibility, their co-equal branch of government check on the executive. They gave it all away. They bent over and said, "Yes, sir, may we have another?" And now all of a sudden they're like, "Hold on. Wait a minute. Like this is not great for us. This kind of
yeah,
sucks for us because he's fine. He's not
yeah,
going to be on another ballot no matter how much he thinks he is. They are." And they're like, "Wait. Well, why would we do that?" And Mike Johnson he is a facilitator. He is the feeder of his
yeah.
entire caucus to Donald Trump, who has made jokes about Mike Johnson not being the Speaker of the House. Because why? Because
Yeah.
he is. He said, "I'm the Speaker of the House," right? So it's almost as if like it's like a share moment in Moonstruck where
Wait,
they
did
got
you hear Elise Stefanik is talking shit about Mike Johnson?
yes. Yes. So, guys, if you didn't see this, Elise Stefanik, who I cannot stand, that trashy ass fucking whore. I cannot
Same.
stand her and her stupid face. I cannot stand her. And I'm so glad that she's gotten also hoisted upon her own petard because she lost her UN job and then she lost her spot in leadership in the House so she could do the UN job she didn't get. And now she's had to run for governor and he's not helping her because she's lame. And then he says Mamdani's not a socialist, communist terrorist, like she said, all the things. Like, I honestly, this is a woman, look, I got no love for Lee Stefanik, okay? Like, I swear to God, she's going to be a Trivial Pursuit question sometime in the future. And they're going to be like, who was the lamest asshole in Congress who gave up her spot in the UN as the UN ambassador and then lost her spot in leadership and whatever. Anyway, point is, yes, Elise Stefanik came out in the Wall Street Journal and criticized very harshly Mike Johnson and said that if there were a vote tomorrow for who the Speaker of the House would be, he would not win. She even cited Kevin McCarthy as the only Speaker of the House ever removed by his own party, by the way. Great job, first for everything. She cited his leadership as better than Mike Johnson's. And what I think that portends, what I think this is an indicator of, is that he is the low-hanging fruit. He's the sacrificial lamb right now because the problem, Mike Johnson, right? The real rot, the real funk, the real nasty thing in your fridge that you're like, what the fuck smells? And all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, it's that ravioli from last December. That's Donald Trump. He's the problem, but Elise Stefanik's not going to go after Donald Trump. So they got to find somebody because somebody has to be to blame for what is going on right now. And she's running for governor, so she needs to blame somebody, and it's Mike Johnson.
You think they're going to roll him under the bus, Mike Jackson?
I
I
think
mean, you think they're going to like push him out before he
no,
actually loses his seat?
no, because I don't. No, I just think he's gonna be the face of the blame. I think they're not gonna bother. First of all, it's chaotic as it is in that caucus. They're not gonna bother with trying to oust him. Their bigger problem is that they're all peeling off and leaving, right? Because they're all like, I got better things to do.
Yeah.
Nancy Mace now, bye bye. By the
Yeah,
way,
I saw that
go.
today.
Yeah, she's running for governor too. They're all peeling off because they also see the writing on the
Nuts.
wall.
It's
She's
just
nuts.
nuts.
She's nuts.
Certifiably nuts. How could one person in that state, is it South Carolina? South
Yeah.
Carolina?
Yep.
How
Yep.
would one person vote for her? She's out of her fucking mind.
I don't think that she has a shot in hell. I don't think that Lindsey Graham has. I think that Lindsey Graham's in trouble in South Carolina.
Okay. If we're going to talk about Lindsey Graham, then I mean, that dude has defied logic in winning where he is like less popular than head lice. So, I mean, the fix has got to be in. I wanted to say about Elise Stefanik, the thing that cracked me up was so funny about what Trump did with the whole Mamdani thing. They asked him, they asked Trump, do you think you're standing next to what they call him?
Jihadist.
A jihadist. And he's like, no, he's a rational, reasonable person. And then the reporter was like, well, people like Elise Stefanik have called him a jihadist. And Trump like completely took her attack line away. He said, well, sometimes people say things. And I was
That was
see,
it.
she had her attack line for her
Mhm.
campaign all set,
Yep.
and it just poof gone.
Yep.
I would use that. I would use that in. I think I guess Kathy Hochul is going to run for reelection.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I would
Yeah.
totally pull that out in an attack.
Agreed. Yeah, I mean, again, this is what they do, right? They can't run on any of their successes. They can't run on anything of any consequence. The big billionaire boner bill is historically unpopular, so unpopular that even Trump's people are talking about ways to extend the ACA tax credits, which is
Yeah,
hilarious. Next week, look for that, guys. Not in 2 weeks, next week, because they know how historically unpopular it is. I mean, at this point, I don't know if you ever remember this game when your kids were little. There was a game called Tip the Waiter. So it was like a waiter guy. It was so cute. He looked kind of like Italian, like a pizza guy. I guess that makes sense. And so he had a pizza tray or just a tray. and the game was that the kids would put a coin on or a topping on the thing, and then eventually he would tip the tray. So it was don't tip the waiter. So the idea, right, is that it's like any other one of those games that gives you anxiety. But at this so where you don't want to be the last one to put the thing on, you have to be strategic. At this point, Republicans don't have any more room on that tray. Like
Yeah.
it's already spilling over. And so adding the ACA tax credit, expiration and the price increases it's just, I mean, it's the final nail in their coffin, and it's probably
Yeah.
too late even still. But like they know that. So what I don't think they're going to do is I don't think they're going to challenge his speakership. I think he's going to very likely organically lose his speakership because so many Republicans are jumping ship that they're
Yeah.
going to lose their majority. And I actually don't even fault them for that, because and I believe this is very optimistic of me, if we have free and fair midterm elections, they are fucked every which way to Sunday. They're
Yeah.
fucked. Like,
Yeah.
if you're in a +9 Republican district right now, you're looking at the math going, oh my God, I'm fucked. Because
Yeah.
that's what happened in Tennessee, was that he swung that 22 point plus Trump 22-point district to a
Right.
+9. So you're looking at the math going, either I'm getting out, or I need to disassociate myself or separate myself or make somebody the fall guy. But honestly, they don't have enough room and time to swing this thing back. It's not going to happen. They're fucked. And that's, yes, I'm being optimistic, but also being realistic. And New Jersey, last thing I promise. There's a town in my district in New Jersey. I live in New Jersey 7, sorry, not 11. 11 is where my friend Tom Malinowski is running. 11 is Mikey's old district. But 7 is where I am, and there's a town on the outskirts of 7 called Phillipsburg, and Phillipsburg it's gone Trump, it's gone red by massive margins, and Mikey Sherrill won that town by a huge double-digit margin, right? Like 10 plus, I think.
Did you say
Somebody
that
could
was a
fact
Trump
check me.
district?
What's that?
Did you say that was a Trump district?
Oh, yeah. Oh, and I've been there. I went to a town hall for Sue Altman when she was running against my congressman, Tom Kaine Jr. Ugh. And it's very red. It is very, very red. And they swung way, way left. And again, if you're looking at these maps and you're looking at the math, and my friend Jess Piper, who you guys please follow and please subscribe to her Substack. She's a absolute genius. She lives in Missouri, and this is what she's been saying. But she said today in a chat that we're in that people in red states are spitting nails. I think that was her quote. They are pissed. People who voted for Donald Trump and for this Republican bullshit are furious. So
Yeah.
I think Republicans know what's coming. I'd get out. I mean, why not? Just get out.
It's bad when you like constantly seeing polls. Like I saw a poll today where 39% of Republicans, of registered Republican voters, say that the economy is worse now under Trump. 39% is not an insignificant percentage, as far as MAGA is concerned, right? Because I've often said, you know, he wouldn't lose a single MAGA voter if he was eating a live baby on camera, on the White House lawn.
Yeah.
But it's different. This is very, very different because people really feel it in their wallets when they go shopping. Like, I like going shopping, right? So I go shopping, uh, once or twice a month, and it's painful. You feel it. You feel it there. Not so much at the pump, but in the gas station. It is
Yeah.
very expensive. When I am paying my utility bill, it hurts. It is painful. So I think that kind of transcends all of that, partisan rhetoric, dumb liberals and blah, blah, blah. People know what their bank account looks like. And that,
Mhm.
is like, man, we voted for your ass, your dumb convicted felon ass, because you said you were going to lower prices. And now you just like fucking around and not being a serious person, and we're struggling. So I think I think at some point, even MAGA has had enough, and
Mhm.
that's encouraging to see. And wherever I see it, I'm gonna be stoking that shit. I'm gonna
Yeah.
be reminding people on the daily how awful that guy is.
Yeah, and here's the thing, I put out a video a couple weeks ago about this, and it struck a nerve because it's the truth. At the end of the day, Donald Trump does not care about any of them. He doesn't care about anyone. He doesn't care about his own voters. He doesn't care about his family. He doesn't care about his administration. He doesn't care about his staff. He doesn't care about our country. He doesn't care about decency. He doesn't care about democracy. He doesn't care about human beings. He doesn't care. But he
Yeah.
really, really, really doesn't care about the very people who hang their hats on his promises because he knows at the end of the day, it's not about what he's promised them because he continuously does not deliver. He knows, we talked about this earlier, that as long as he hates who they hate, that's what they think is all that they need. But and a lot of them will stay forever. A lot of them will stay for the, attacking American citizens who are Somali in Minnesota. A lot of them will stay for, separating families. A lot of them will stay for the hate. But they're not enough in number. They're not. And not only that, but when he's not on the ballot, they don't turn out. And there's not a lot of energy for other people who've held their noses and tolerated him because they think they like his policies. There's not
Yeah.
enough of them, and they're not going to show up. He's not on the ballot in these midterms. Whether or not he's symbolically on the ballot, which he is because he is the incumbent, and you got to lay blame somewhere, he's not going to energize his base to show up, and they're so disillusioned. My God, he went all the way to the Supreme Court to make sure that 42 million Americans didn't get nutrition assistance while he was throwing a Gatsby themed party so on the
Yeah.
nose that
Yeah.
I don't care who you are. If you saw that and you heard him talking about a ballroom, and now he's going all over to the Supreme Court to make sure you can't eat, and now he's bragging about preventing blue states, which are comprised not just of blue voters, but of lots of folks. New York State, if you travel
Upstate.
north, right?
Upstate.
You don't have to go far. You don't have to
Upstate
go
is
far.
magnificent. Yeah.
Right, Jersey too, like where I'm
Yeah.
at, J if you're not in the cities in Jersey, pretty much it's red. Same thing with New York State, it is deep, deep, deep MAGA up there. So he is saying he's not going to let them get SNAP benefits because they happen to live in a state that won't share their private data with the government. He's gonna let you starve. And to me, this is what we need to say every single day because it's not just Donald Trump, it's MAGA, it's Republicans. They don't care about you. They don't care about your healthcare premiums tripling. They don't care about the fact that you can't afford groceries and insulin. They don't care because he is the the head of this rotten fish. And he is telling them, I will let you starve as a political tool. And to me,
Yeah.
like, that's the message. He doesn't care if your roads fall apart. He doesn't care if you don't get compensated when your flight is canceled or delayed. He reversed that rule. He doesn't
The
care
Biden
about your
rule. Yeah.
planet. He doesn't care about the shit in your food because they reversed all that stuff too. He doesn't care about your baby maybe getting hepatitis B, incurable hepatitis B, because his psycho brainworm sewage swimming ass chewing, I don't even fucking know, felching weirdo, because he let him be in charge of vaccines. Why? Because he doesn't care about you. If he cared about you, he wouldn't be pardoning criminals. He wouldn't be pardoning drug traffickers. He wouldn't be pardoning sex offenders. He wouldn't have intervened on the behalf of the Tate brothers. He
Why did he
doesn't care.
why did he pardon that Democrat, Henry Cuellar?
We don't know yet.
Is he a fake Dem? Is he like a
The thing
Democrat
is,
in name only? A dino?
again, it's the Russian nesting doll of pathology. Some part of it is that he wants,
I'm putting that question out to our viewers right
yeah,
now.
I
Chime in if you have ideas why he pardoned Henry Cuellar, who is a Democrat. Because
I
I
think
heard,
he wants to normalize corruption as part of it.
Yeah, everybody he's pardoned, like these members of Congress or former members, all corruption.
Yep.
What is
Yep.
the deal with that? Is he trying to make his own corruption
Yes.
uh conviction seem less by pardoning all these people who were convicted of corrupt? You get what I'm saying?
Yes, I mean, he pardoned all the January 6th insurrectionists and rioters and terrorists for the same reason, right? Like, yes, because he figures, I mean, it's part of it. It's only a small part of it because a lot of them paid. A lot of them paid. Right? At the end of the day, a lot of this is about money. You know,
Really?
I saw this cartoon and it was this boat in the middle of the ocean and it was like, we have drugs, but it don't shoot us or don't drone us because we'll buy your crypto.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
it's very
yeah.
funny, but it's also very telling. So right? Like some of it is to it's a test balloon, and it's what he does when he moves the line, right? He moves like softens the ground so that the corruption is normalized because he knows that he's gonna have to leave, and a lot of the truth of the things that he's done, particularly now, it's gonna come out. But if he can say if we've softened the ground so much that corruption's not so bad, then maybe he'll look better by comparison. But also, I honestly think at the end of the day, he's just raking in money. It's a
Yeah,
lot about money.
he
So
is
what are
this one.
people in the chat saying?
I see a lot of people. Cecile Kazemi says that's exactly right. He wants to normalize corruption on both sides of the aisle. Wait a minute. Oh, and everywhere in between, no doubt. Cecile Kazemi, by the way, is a Storytime with BDD regular. Hi, Cecile.
Aw. Um, um, yeah, and I'm just wondering, like, Bob Menendez is probably like, "Hello? Hello?" Like, he's, like, counting his gold bars. Like, "What happened to me?" Just yeah, because I wonder when that's coming. And Ghislaine Maxwell, she's coming. I mark my word, she's getting a commutation. I wanna throw up in my mouth saying that
Ghislaine
out loud.
Maxwell?
Yeah.
Yeah, I hate to admit it, but yeah, you're right. Noble Blend says because his sons and his business can make money off of it. I'm positive. I saw that the Trump boys, whoops, damn, the comments keep going. The Trump boys are in business with the man.
Mhm.
Mm.
Mhm.
Ethan Faulkner says corruption has been normalized since the Patriot Act. Boy.
Mhm. Well, yeah,
Oh,
I mean, there's
Queller disagreed with Biden on border policy, Jane Kowalski says. We have some very astute viewers who are paying attention. Um, Thank you for your input, folks. Joe, I want to ask you about this story that's been going on all day about the pipe bomber. Do you remember that? The pipe
yeah,
bomber. Do you remember who everybody thought it was?
of course, yeah, March. Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
sorry. So I'm going to admit, when I first saw the news and that it wasn't Marjorie Three Toes, I was like, ah. But
don't
then here's what I thought, and I'm sorry, I hate that my brain always goes there, but this is how I'm wired now. Um, I thought it was peculiar the timing that Kash Patel happens to be under fire for
mhm,
flying his girlfriend all around the place. The Trump administration is under fire for being sleepy and unaffordable, and Pete Hegseth is under fire. So distractions are us. And so I thought, why now? Right?
mhm,
Why now are we suddenly getting the an arrest, not a conviction, but an arrest of the alleged pipe bomber? Because what I think is going to happen is that there was a big dog and pony show. They had this press conference. You had Pam Bondi there and Kash Patel looking like deer in the headlights, and everybody else up there, Dan Bingo Bongo, everybody up there making a big deal out of this. And a month from now, you won't hear anything else about it. It will just
no,
be poof.
yeah. I mean, yeah, that's what they do, right? Like, it's always wag the dog with this shit show. That every time they get themselves into yet another fucked up pickle of their own making, they're like, "Oh, but look over here," right? Like somebody in the chat said, we barely heard anything about the follow-up investigation into Charlie Kirk's murder. Like, that was the shiny object over here for a minute, and it's exhausted its usefulness, and
No,
now
no,
they're
no. They're still making money off of Charlie Kirk.
Oh, no, no, yes, yes, 100%. What I'm saying is you're not seeing Kash Patel out there in front of the podium every day giving updates on what's happening with that investigation into the person that they have in custody.
Mm,
We haven't gotten any updates on Donald Trump's
that's right.
shooter, which I'm increasingly convinced, by the way, is bullshit. And I am not a conspiracy theorist, and anybody who follows me closely knows that. But like, we've talked about this. His ear is fucking fine, right? And it's in, and I don't love Olivia Newsy, whatever. I have my own thoughts about her. But she said she looked right up at it, nice and close, and she was like, it looked perfect, like as perfect as an ear could ever look. And if you got shot, if you got
There's
shot,
gonna be something. There's gonna be a scratch, a scar.
Evander Holyfield is forever missing a piece of his ear because
Yeah,
Mike Tyson bit it off. That's not
yeah.
an AR-15. Yeah, Mike Tyson is probably as bad as probably he can be considered a weapon of mass destruction. But he bit his ear, and his ear never grew back. It didn't regenerate ear. He didn't get plastic surgery. Everybody's like, "Oh, Donald Trump got plastic surgery." Y'all think we wouldn't know if he had plastic surgery? You don't think he would have had another tampon on that thing if he had plastic surgery? So anyway, I digress. But like that's what they do is every it is for them, it is about a distraction from the distraction from the distraction. Kash Patel's flying his girlfriend out, which by the way, she's hot as fuck. And anybody on this planet who thinks she's with him for his personality, please.
They
Okay.
belong in Valhalla.
Kash Patel has a resting face of I'm not sure if I like the smell of my own farts. Okay. This is his resting
Mm.
state where he's like, I I usually most people like their own brand. I don't know. That's Kash Patel, okay? The guy is to say that he's unattractive, whatever. He's also an asshole, okay? And he's flying his girlfriend around, his you know, prize, whatever, on our dime. And they don't want us talking about that. They don't want us
Yeah.
talking about Christy Noam getting 2 private jets. They don't want us talking about all of this stuff. So they don't want us talking about the imminent release of what we should be getting in terms of the Epstein files, which we can debate all day long. They don't want us talking about that stuff. They don't
And
want us.
the eyes wide shut masks. Did you see that? There's a mask there. There's a room. Yesterday they released some
Oh
video
yeah, yeah,
of the Epstein Isle, which when I heard about like how they used to insist that the girls walk around naked and that they would be forced to like if they're talking to a kitchen staffer they're still naked. Like that's just appalling. And aside from all of the raping that was happening to them, but there is a room that has all of these masks on the wall.
yeah.
One of which looks like Ted Cruz. Just if you haven't seen that yet, just Google Ted Cruz island
No.
go onto X or go onto Twitter and type in Ted Cruz Island, and you'll see there's a mask there looks just like him. Anyway, all these masks on the wall, what were they using those for? Disgusting.
I
Um,
Yeah,
so
Donald Trump's
that
best friend.
that's out of the news cycle.
Mhm.
That is how Donald Trump is is running his regime right now. They are just lurching from crisis from scandal to scandal to scandal, and whatever crazy thing that they can put out there, any bombastic incident to take the place of the previous bombastic incident, that's what they're doing. So
Yeah.
that's
Bombastic.
why I know I sound like more than a little bit in the conspiracy pool. I'm sorry, but it's just that we're existing in a reality where they're not telling us the truth. they're not even telling us half of the truth. They're just making shit up. So I don't like to be a dumb rube just accepting whatever bullshit is being thrown my way. I like to question it. And so I'm questioning everything right now. And it is exhausting. I wish I could go back to ignoring the pres. There was a time in my life, I remember when, even when I was ignoring George W. Bush, for crying out loud, I wasn't micromanaging his thing. Yeah, sure, I knew he was crooked, and Donald Rumsfeld and all the jackasses in his administration, but at the end of the day, I wasn't like terrified that some really awful shit was going to pop off. Even with George W. Bush, for crying out loud. But now I'm tired. I just want a boring president who's responsible and mature again.
Yeah. And the thing is too, and hi Charles, by the way. Hi Charles Austin. Hi. Um uh they think that we're stupid. They think that we're stupid enough that we can't keep up with them flooding the zone with shit, which I mean, I'm not expecting everybody to keep up with all of it all the time. It is very heavy and very exhausting, and it is very cup emptying. They think we are without the capacity to keep up, and some people are, and some people aren't. It's not a judgment. Like you've just got to take care of yourself. Put your mask on first. But there are plenty of us. There are plenty of people out there who are keeping up, and there are also plenty of people who are keeping up with different lanes of things, and then they, that's their lane of things. But the number one thread here is that they think that we're stupid. They honestly and truly believe that we are stupid enough to believe their bullshit. And this is season 2 of this shit show. We've been dealing with this person in this capacity since 2015, right? Like this ain't our first rodeo. And they think we're so stupid that he can say, I had a preventative MRI on a
Doesn't know what part was MRI. They didn't know. Because
Yeah, I don't know. He said, I don't know. It's an MRI. I don't know. Guys, guys,
that was one
guys.
of the funniest things I ever saw. Oh my
I mean, like
God.
literally, I've had one MRI. I blew out my MCL and my meniscus. Thank you very much. Deadlifts, stupid. And I had one MRI. My Leo's had an
Weightlifting?
MRI. What?
Weightlifting?
Yeah. Yeah. I thought I was
Interesting.
cool. I thought I was cool, so I was doing these weird it's a whole thing. Anyway, I heard it pop. It was very bad. But my and Leo had an MRI because he actually busted a vertebrae deadlifting. Huh. Yeah, the fruit don't fall far from the tree when it comes to stupid. So if you've had an MRI, and most of us have probably had an MRI if we reach a certain age in our lives, I picked classical music for my headphones because I'm an idiot and I didn't know that it sounded like a banshee trying to claw its way out of a steel coffin. And no one tells me that. They're like, oh, which kind of music was I would have picked heavy metal. I would have picked anything. Look, guys, it's loud. It is uncomfortable. You cannot move. It's long. It's not fun. Donald Trump is averse to everything that makes him look weak, feel weak. He had to sit there for at least 45 minutes without his motherfucking phone, okay? And he
Yeah.
didn't ask one time, not one time. So we are forced to choose. Is he a fucking idiot who keeps bragging about the Montreal cognitive exam? Or is he a fucking liar? Probably both.
Why not
Guarantee you
both?
he knows. He knows exactly why an MRI. What we don't know was it on his head, which people speculate, or his heart, which is what I think actually. I think it was his heart and his that
He's had
makes
at least one stroke, possibly two, because
yeah.
remember his
Yeah.
mouth was all droopy.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, guys, who among us doesn't wake up in the morning and say, "Oh, you know what? I feel like going to get an MRI. I feel like getting in a giant magnetic tube."
Those things are expensive too, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And but they think we're stupid. But we're not stupid. Nobody, not one of the 1,100 people on this live right now, including my friend Brooklyn, are stupid. We are not stupid. We have our eyes open. We are paying attention and we are calling this shit out.
Nor are the reporters that he said, "Are you stupid? What are you stupid? Why are you stupid? You're stupid.
Projection.
That
Projection.
is so. It is. It's disgusting. It's annoying. It's disgusting. I don't understand why it's tolerated.
That's a whole
That he is allowed to talk to people, professional people like that. The abuse. It should be condemned by people on both sides. I'm tired of just Democrats being the ones paying attention to every shitty fucking thing that this guy does. There used to be a time when being the president of the United States was a position that we looked up to, was a position that, you told your kids, if you do everything right, if blah, 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 you can be president one day. Now the president of the United States looks like a piece of shit, looks like a horrendous person that you say, you know what? If you're not careful, Johnny, you might end up being a shitbag like the president of the United States.
and you're not wrong, and let's hope and pray, like, that we can restore that kind of dignity to the office because it is important. It is important that the person who occupies that office models the best of us and appeals to our better angels as opposed to what Donald Trump does. I mean, Donald Trump has now doubled down on the R slur. And as a person, as a human being, period, but as someone who worked as a paraprofessional with preschoolers with a variety of diagnoses and their own struggles and issues, that word is about as bad as it gets, right? Like that is a word that for me, and I don't know if she's still on Twitter, but Marsha Brady, the actress who played Marsha Brady,
Oh
I'm
yeah.
having trouble remembering her name right now. If anybody can remember her name, her brother is special needs, and she has long lobbied against the use of that word, and it's incredibly disgusting that.
Maureen
Thank you.
McCormick.
Yeah, Maureen McCormick. Um, it's I cannot believe that we live in a country right now where that can be said and then doubled down on by the President of the United States of America. And one Republican state senator in Indiana who is not willing to, for now, sign on to gerrymander their maps to
Ooh, I
his
saw
Senate.
that.
But the thing is, like, I it's a double-edged sword, right? Like people are like, well, it's not right that it took something that resonated with him personally for him to finally stand up and speak out. And yes, that's true. Like, yes, it's true that it should not have to come knocking on your door for you to
Yeah.
stand up for the least among us. And yet, I will also accept that whatever it takes, whether it's his dismantling of democracy, whether it's his slurs and disgusting vitriol, whether it's the things he said about people from Somalia, whether it's grabbing women by the pussy, whatever it is, I am not going to clutch my pearls and be like, no, you can't align against him now because you didn't when. I'll take you now because at least whatever it was that got you here got you on the right side of something. And that's
Yep.
where we all need to be because, like, I want to cry when I think about how hurtful that slur is and how disgusting. I worked with children. These people. These children grow into adults and they are incredible. And it was a gift every single day that I got to work with them. And like for him to just casually throw that word out there, it's a spit in every one of their faces. And it's not okay. It's just not. And we need to get back to a world where our president can't get away with saying things like that, you know?
Frankly, I'm shocked that more people, and not just people with relatives who are special needs. I'm surprised that more people like who have a friend or relative who had cancer. Because he cut cancer research
Yeah.
funding. Like, if you can't if you can't rally against somebody who cut cancer research funding, then what kind of human being are you, really? You're because you've got an R on your chest that you could ignore that kind of bullshit despite the fact your mom and your dad both died of cancer. And I mean, can
Yeah.
we not at least agree that cancer sucks, and if we can put money towards it, don't let Doge cut whatever, what is it, $100 million or something,
Yeah.
compared to the billions that they're blowing on missiles and jets that nobody's
Ballrooms.
ever gonna fly,
Yeah.
for crying out loud. You
Yeah.
can't spare a few $1 billion to help eradicate one of the worst diseases that's out there. Come on.
Yeah. I think I get a lot of shit for this, and it's okay. I get it. I've been very naive about things, but I still, at the end of the day, I still fundamentally believe that people are good, that they're decent, that they have compassion, that they don't relish the suffering of innocence. I'm gonna die on that hill. It is
I'm with you.
hard to reconcile that with understanding that I've also been shocked by the capacity for cruelty in this world. But at the end of the day, I have to hold fast and hold firm to this idea that there are more things that unite us and more ties that bring us together, and more decency that drives us than not, because I have kids. We have kids, right? And like, we don't want to hand them a world where we give up on that idea,
Right.
because what's the point, right? We want them to be met with a world that it understands this too, and that it's a friend of mine is very smart, was talking about, like, yeah, we have police and we have laws and we have military and we have courts and all these other things, but they're not the things that actually keep our society on track. Those are the things that can provide guardrails. But what it really is these contracts we have with each other. It's these social contracts we make with each other that are based on common understandings of decency, that we don't call someone the R slur, that we don't just run a red light, that we don't, bully the people with learning disabilities. Like, there are certain social constructs that keep this country on track in a way that no law or police officer could ever do. And what Donald Trump represents is the opposite of that, which is why there's so much chaos that surrounds him and in the wake of him and in his orbit. But at the end of the day, when we remember those things and we treat each other with that kind of respect and dignity, and we hold fast to those social contracts we make with each other, I think that's our pathway out. And I think that that's why I won't lose hope. And that's why I think that at the end of the day, what we saw in New Jersey, in Virginia, in Alabama, and elsewhere, in Tennessee, that is people remembering those things. And I'm going to hold fast to that forever.
That was beautifully stated. I frequently say, as as negative as I feel, and as negatively as I talk about the way things are, I can't give up. I can't give up hope. I cannot believe. I will not allow myself to believe that, like, my neighbors and people in my society, my immediate community, are beyond redemption. I can't accept that, because God willing, I'd like to have at least another, I don't know, 20, 30, 40 years, you to hang around and do stuff. And I don't want to be stuck on this rock with a bunch of assholes. Um, I wanted to, I wanted to share some comments that were interesting here from our viewers. We have Sean Flanagan said, it's no longer about Republicans v. Democrats. It's about good v. evil. Sandra A says they have zero empathy, zero conscience, zero morals, zero values. And DB, this was interesting. You may or may not remember this, but I do remember this. DB says Trump was quoted by a close friend in a one-on-one saying about a severely disabled child,
Oh, his
why not
nephews.
why not just let them die?
His
And he said, look,
nephews.
yeah, so you remember that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
his nephew's disabled son, he said, why not just let him die?" Like, yes, this is the thing. Again, again, he doesn't care about you. If you he sees it's all transactional. It's usefulness to him, to some end that serves him, that serves the people he wants to serve by serving himself. And again, there's a reason that story hit so hard and resonated in the way that it did. And I think that's because, as everybody's been so profoundly and accurately putting in the chat, it's about human decency. And like we can all diverge on our politics and platforms and policy. We might not agree on every political take that there is, but at the end of the day, most of us all want the same fundamental things, right? We want the same treatment of ourselves and our loved ones as we want decency, we want compassion, kindness, respect, dignity. We want to live our lives honestly. We want to know that our children are cared for, that they're safe, that they're housed, that they're fed, that our air will be clean, that our water will be clean, that our food will be safe. They're very basic things.
Yeah.
And decency is among them. And decency is sort of the foundation for all of them. Again, it goes back to that social contract we sign with each other. And
Mhm.
and like you, I'm not going to abandon that. And I honestly and truly believe that, like, the bulk of the American people, for all of the capacity for cruelty that we have seen, that what we are seeing in terms of this pendulum swing back is reflective of that very basic human desire, that is a thread that ties us all together to reject what he's doing and what he's subjecting our country to.
So if in 2026 we have a resounding victory for the House. I'm not putting anything on the Senate right now. The Senate is what it is, right? But the House, I believe the House, we should be able to have a plus 10 or plus 15, and that's a conservative guess, right? If we see turnover in the House that is like sending an overwhelming message to Trump and to Republicans, like, fuck you guys, you screwed up, we don't trust you anymore. Um, does that renew your faith in us moving back in the right direction?
Me personally?
You, yeah.
Yeah. Well, first of
And
all,
our viewers. I would ask our
think of all
viewers
the
the same thing.
accountability we're gonna get that will come with that. Even if we just, and just is not a word I would use here, get the house, right? Like, and I 1000% believe the house is not even just within striking distance. And by the way, this does not mean we get complacent. This means we work harder, right, to make sure that we get the
Yeah,
house, because
yeah.
this is what we need to do. Think about all the accountability that we get that moves our country in the right direction in terms of holding people like Pete Hegseth and Kristi Noem and Prakash Patel and Dan Bungo Bingo Bongo and, oh God, Bassett and Zeldin and RFK Jr. Think of all of the accountability that we will be able to recapture, not to mention Donald Trump. Okay. They can actually open investigations, hearings into the corruption, the blatant, disgusting, consistent, daily, minute by minute corruption. So just the House, right, is a pathway to all of that, plus impeachment, which would be inevitable. The Senate is the larger question, but still, the American people get transparency. They get to see what they did to them. And so, like, does that give me the word hope is tough here, because, like, hope is a dangerous word. Never want to lose hope, but at the same time, you never know, what the American people are going to see or say. But giving them a chance to have the facts, which they're not getting right now, to me, that again sort of indicates that 2028 should be a swing back to decency, a swing back to democracy, a swing back to justice, to accountability. Is any president going to be perfect? No, but nobody wants this. This is why his poll numbers are as bad as they are. Um, I I I just wanna one day at a time, but I think that there will be a reckoning, in '26 and beyond, and I'm looking at a lot of candidates right now that are talking about, returning this country to a place of, where we follow the rule of law and we treat each other with dignity and respect, and it gives me, optimism, if not necessarily hope, because it definitely makes me feel optimistic.
That's what I live for.
Yeah.
I live for that. Like, I like I said, I'm exhausted. Like I'm exhausted, like
Yeah.
second guessing everything that I see on TV. Like, nah, that's not like no,
So
that's
bad.
not what happened. It is exhausting. So Hope is that battery that recharges my spirit, my soul. That and like comedy. I like watching a lot of
Yeah, me
comedy
too.
on TV.
Me too. It occurred to me today, and then we'll wrap with quick. It occurred to me today that like I was just driving and thinking, I'm like, this is so much for all of us. This is so much for
Yeah,
anybody to carry, right? It is
yeah,
every front, every part of your body, your brain, your soul, your senses. It's being inundated. It's like we're all those Venezuelan boats, right? Like where they are just bombarding us nonstop, and that's again by design, but it I just want to pause and just tell people out there, like, we're there too, and it's hard, and it's dark, and it's heavy, and some days are harder than others, and it can feel overwhelming, and you can feel like, oh my god, this is hopeless, this is so dark and so dismal and so dispiriting, but you're not alone. Like, you're not alone, and you give yourself the grace to feel that, and when you need to disengage and unplug, then fucking do it. When you need to day drink, which I am doing, although it's not daytime anymore, um, if it's a soda, if it's a glass of wine, whatever it is, if you need to go out and eat a fucking zebra cake like it's a cigarette, do
oh,
it.
I
Like,
remember those.
zebra cakes are so freaking good. Did
That's
you
not a Little Debbie's, right?
I don't think it's Little Debbie's. I don't think it's Little Debbie. Tasty Cake maybe, or like, I don't think it's Little Debbie's. I don't know. Maybe somebody else would know, but I don't think a zebra cake is a Little Debbie's product, but I could be wrong. I only ever had them when I was babysitting, and I ate the kids I was I ate the zebra cakes of the kids I was babysitting because my dad wouldn't buy them. So I was like, "Oh, I'm babysitting. You have zebra cakes. Thank you." Yeah, I was mad, but
Right.
yeah, my dad would buy that
Charlie
shit.
Austin is saying he's seen estimates of 40 plus seats. If that happens, the Senate flips, he says.
Oh, Charles is a very smart man, and I believe what he is saying, and like I said, guys, these numbers that we saw in the gubernatorial elections and elsewhere, these numbers we saw in Tennessee, yes, we didn't win. Numbers we saw in the Florida special elections, which were well before all this, these numbers, like, I hate to say it. I don't want my country to suffer, but my children sometimes with my daughter, God willing, God rest my God, my daughter, I call her a hurricane. Sometimes she had to stick her hand in the fire. You know what I mean? She had to do the thing that I said don't do. She had to run with her hands in her
That's me.
pockets.
Yeah.
And then some people are figuring that out the hard way, but as long as, I just want to get our country there, as many of us as safely as possible. And there's a lot of worry, and I'm worried about people around the world because there's estimates of what, like how many people have they said 600,000 that have died because of our cuts to USAID in
Oh, yeah.
these
I
few
saw that.
months. Like, I'm worried about our world, but I'm also, I guess, heartened by the fact that people are finally waking up anyway. But yeah, um, yeah.
Dawn Marrow says empathy Um, is our superpower, guys, something lacking in this administration?
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
You do learn a lot from fucking up. The greatest lessons I've ever learned in my life were from fucking up, 100,000%.
Joe, I'm happy to leave this discussion on that note. I think it's a good positive note to leave on. I always appreciate the positivity and the realness, the heart and soul you bring to these chats here. I look forward to them every week. So thank you
Same.
for joining me here. And
Same, same, same. That's that it look, this is how real people talk to each other, right? And like you don't have to be an expert on anything. You can have a guttural response and reaction to all of this because we're all walking through this together. And I appreciate you so much because I appreciate being able to have these conversations, and being able to feel seen by the fact that we can have these conversations because this world can be so isolating, and that's how we really lose, was when we lose sight of each other and we break these connections. So
yeah,
this conversation, the chat, all our friends in the chat, this community, my friends in Substack know that I get really emotional when I think about the community on Substack because it is honestly like a buoy for my soul and my spirit. And I wake up every day wanting to contribute in some way, just to repay what this community gives me. And these conversations, Brooklyn, are just as cathartic as that. So I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for the chat. I'm grateful for all of our supporters and viewers. And it's 1,200 people now. That's so fucking cool. Yeah.
Wait. I have something for that. I was waiting the whole episode for that.
There you go. I wish I could give one of those to my deodorant, but it's not working in my sweater dress, and I'm all
That's
sweaty. I don't know why. It's gross. I don't
that's
have a hooray sound for my sweater dress. Anyway, thank you on that note. Okay.
Bye, guys.
See you next time.